Hi. This week follows on beautifully from last week. Last week there was a sense of done. And it flowed this week into a silence. And the silence leads to that inner self, which is where all connections connect to. It is amazing how interpretations, perceptions can lead us to focus on things that take us down rather than lift us up. And how when amazing things are there, how the outside world can interfere with it, or we allow it to interfere. So there was a call from a mother who was concerned for her daughter who was feeling really nauseous and was getting married the next day. Now, I've had sessions with this daughter, and her partner and herself decided before coming into this world that they were going to live this life together. And they have the most delightful, respectful, in freedom, supporting each other in their lives relationship that a lot of their friends actually don't understand, because they've got a lot of sort of shoulds and musts what a relationship looks like. And they live theirs in so much freedom and so much love that a lot of people actually think that's not how it should work. So what had happened was this extraordinary, beautiful, wished everyone could experience this, which, you know, there's a painting of these two beings who are lifted up into the air and they're intertwined together. And this couple reminds me of that very much, that sense of they're actually experiencing what they came for, which is delightful. So here she is in that presence of that in her life. And because of all the input from others, that element of the presence of what she is connected to in her life, in this relationship, was starting to feel that maybe this is too much, or maybe this isn't real. And the nausea came the further she moved away from the relationship and what she knew to be true. The silence of it got disturbed by her sense of others and their interpretation of it. So we need to be very careful with others' interpretation of it. And the mother shared that with her, and she was fine. Then the next day, someone came, and as she came, she said, I almost cancelled the appointment because I'm feeling so good. And it has stayed, and I don't want anything to disturb it. So we went to work, and as she said, the core, that aspect of herself was so solid and so clear, like, I've arrived. It's this sense of done. I've arrived. And there was a still point in it. And what really showed up was so subtle but so magnificent in its enhancement of the state. And it said, just up the ante a little bit. You're in a great place. Just up the ante a little bit. So if you go for a walk, just walk that little bit faster. Or if you're going to choose something to eat, just choose that something that's just that little bit more nourishing or whatever. Just up the ante a little bit, but not a stress, not a striving, not a pushing self harder. Up the ante a little bit. And I know that if you go for a walk and you walk a little bit faster, before you know it, you're walking faster still, and you're walking further, and before you know it, you find yourself jogging. But it's just by upping the ante just that little bit. But there's no negative talk. There's no, it's something is done, you're in life, you're enjoying it, and it ends up into the doing of it. And then I had this conversation with this producer of a play, and when they did the auditions, what was delightful is there's so much talent in the world. You could almost throw a dart for, for people you want in your production. So the focus was on choosing kind people. And it's been the most delightful, joyful production because they're cohesive, they're appreciative, there's a kindness there, there's a sense of done, and it's just known that we can work together. What a great way to live. Look what's arriving. So this young woman came in who's had quite a few health issues, chronic fatigue, chronic migraines. The list is quite long, low blood pressure, all that sort of stuff. Has done several things through her life, and her parents were actually pestering her to come and see me, and eventually she did. And it was just so beautiful, really, besides her looking angelic. It went to when she was 1 month in the womb, which is quite amazing. Sometimes it'll go to the moment of conception. These are beautiful visitings. It's a bit like the couple who got married, who made that arrangement before they even got married. What a delightful field we're in. And it went to 1 month in the womb, and in 1 month in the womb there was this absolute calmness and knowing, without any fear attached, that life was doable. And that continued in her life. And we found that when the hormones started to shift at age 12, it became unstuck. And the reason it became unstuck, because the knowing was so clear, and it was an unchangeable aspect of self that had that connection, that when the hormones changed, the mind wanted to keep it all stable because change wasn't part of the deal. It was so clear. So in not negotiating that shift, changed the aspect of being in that space, it shifted it to mind. Mind then trying to control it, when the spirit itself wasn't altered in any shape or form. So integrating it through to present time will hopefully restore, reset the peace of seeing things. And the interesting thing really in this situation, I've noticed that people who do have low blood pressure, it's a bit like having a vagus nerve that is calm. It doesn't push or excite. It has a calmness to it, and that calmness allows beings like that to stand in more stressful situations because they can tolerate that, because of that calmness doesn't get disturbed into a blood pressure of stress. And the work she was in had that element to it, so it kind of fitted her ability to stand in these places in calmness, in the original state that she brought into this world. So it was kind of done, but the mind does the undoing of it at times. So the sessions really were very much seeing things not as work, but more that which we are And in the activity of it, it isn't work as much as self-expressed in the world. And it comes from a knowing and a silence. So the other one I'll share in this that I feel is relevant with this theme, they all are, but some go into fields. That are so vast. It can become so vast. And there's beauty in the vastness, because in the vastness, it has that delicious element of the unknown. And the mind, of course, wants to know, and then it traps itself in the knowing. So, one being that came has gone through quite epic situations in her life. Childhood, relationships, all of that. And was feeling quite overwhelmed. And what showed up was this epic past. And what had happened, a lot of that actually has got resolved over the last year and a half, like drastically resolved. Her life is in a very, very different place. And what was happening, although a lot of the epic was not in her life anymore, what had happened was the few things that still needed to be resolved were felt like they were epic. It's like epic became the theme, the stress of the epic, and needing to have things work out properly. I'm over all this epic. But it wasn't epic anymore. The epic was over. And what she could go to, which is actually true, is that a lot of this, there was an enormous amount of support in her for there. And then to see these things as epic didn't really fit anymore. It was more seeing that in that process there was an enormous amount of support for it to be reduced to that. And then to actually see it not as epic, but how amazingly supported she actually has been in her whole life. And she actually got in touch with me to say how much of a difference that has made, and the conversations that have followed up in her life since then. So we can be in an atmosphere of epic. It's like having a vibrational energy around you that even when it isn't epic anymore, the epic doesn't leave, and you maintain that same state of stress and feeling that people have to support me or else I'm not going to make it, instead of seeing we are actually supported. Which leads to the last one I want to share, and again, pretty epic lifetime, especially in childhood, doing all the support for family and all that sort of stuff, and being made invisible. Very often the people who get burdened the most are not seen because we don't want to see it because it's convenient. So she dropped the fight. There was no more fight. I don't have to fight for dignity. I don't have to fight for respect. I have respect. And letting go of that fight, again, it was this energetic body that was that fight, was taken away. The epic was taken away from the previous one. The fight was taken away. And it's peaceful and it's calm. There is a silence where things don't need to be spoken anymore. I don't have to speak about I want respect because I have it. It goes silent. So the cards that came up this week were stillness, followed by doing, and I'll also read the crystal that came up as a reflection, which fitted in as well. So stillness. Take time to be still, to appreciate the beauty in every moment. Quiet your busy mind and allow the still softness of peace to envelop you. Do not rush into anything, but sit meditatively, and in this stillness, your answer may be found. To attain what has eluded you, be still and allow it to land upon you. As a feather would gently float into your hand, so do your wishes descend upon you. And from that stillness, there does come a doing, a natural aspect of self in action. This means action. There is positive energy around, make use of it. This is not the time to ask others for assistance. It is time to do something powerfully for yourself. Look at what you've been doing. Is it working for you? If there is something you have put off, do it now. And the crystal that showed up was lazurite, Lazurite. And the general element of it is a tool for thought amplification, not as powerful as quartz, but assists one in creating one's own mantra. The physical aspects of it are unknown, and I like that because I think it's so silent, it's still, it is unknown, but it will arrive. Emotionally, it says stimulates artistic creativity and allows one to tap into one's own inner knowingness for healing and change. So, what a delightful week. And in the silence, so much is known, done in that silence, that doing then that no one can disturb or take away from you. Have a great week.